Okay, hello everybody, this is Jim Fear, and welcome to my 200 subscriber late as fucking the second coming of Jesus Q&A blowout spectacular. You guys asked questions and I have answers. Now, I originally had recorded this around, the Wednesday before Valentine's Day, and I was in the process of editing it. I had gotten just, drunk recording it, and in the process of editing it, my computer shut down and rebooted itself, and like a dumbass, I hadn't saved anything, so I lost fucking everything. Everything. It was all gone. I had 2 hours of audio that was just out the window. So, I decided to just do a whole bunch of shit today. This Q&A being the last thing that I'm gonna record. I got a creepypasta recorded. I did a response video to another feminist, and I'm doing this. So, like I said, you guys have questions, I have answers. We're going to go ahead and get into the questions, and I'm sorry if the microphone quality isn't exactly, stellar. I'm just doing this with my laptop mic so that I can sit here and drink and smoke comfortably and not have to worry about the fucking headset or anything like that. So, yeah, let's get on with it. Let's get on with the questions. And there's no particular order to these questions. I basically copy-pasted them into this Word document as they were asked. So, yeah, there's not really any rhyme or reason here. I'm just going to leap right in. Okay, New Blood asks, have you caught Lacey Green's new video about sexual objectification? How do you feel about her use of her popularity with young and impressionable teenagers to peddle biased and ill-researched/analyzed agenda? Not that I have any strong opinions on it or anything. You are a liar, good sir. You are a liar. I was strolling through the comments on Lacey Green's video. I saw that point you made, and it was a good point, and you made it well. Yes, I caught Lacey Green's video. I was on Tumblr one night, probably a week or two before John the Other. I think he was the first big MRM guy to get a hold of the video and do a response to it. And the bullshit, like I said in the update video, the bullshit was instantly palpable the first time I watched it. I was just, sitting there breaking her argument down in my drunken way. And I was thinking about doing a response video to it, and then Victor Zen came out with his video, and then, a week later, Razorblade Candy 2 came out with his video, and then the Honey Badger Radio podcast did an episode devoted to her bullshit, so I was just like, alright, fine, I gotta fucking respond to her, because I agree with what these people said, but I have my own, I have my own, kind of take on things. So, expect that video to come out once it gets out of editing hell. But one thing that I didn't cover is her use of her popularity with young and impressionable teenagers to peddle a biased and ill-researched agenda. I do not approve. I think that was incredibly fucked up of her to use her popularity to push this overtly feminist agenda that's just completely fucking... if you go and look through her resources, most of them are fucking joke. The sources that she cites in her description are just a fucking joke. There's 3 of them that actually have anything to do with anything, and one of them reveals its bias in the first paragraph. The other one is hidden behind a paywall, and the other one is fucking 60 pages long. It's just so incredibly dense that nobody's gonna sit there and read through it just to check her shit out on a fucking YouTube video, especially when it's obvious how goddamn wrong she is from the get-go. But yeah, morally I do not approve of her utilizing her popularity to push this biased fucking agenda and misinformation campaign, which is basically what she's doing. I mean, that's what it is. It's a misinformation campaign. Most of the shit that she says is patently false. It's not hard to demonstrate that it's patently false. So yeah, I think that was a fucked up thing for her to do. I will give her this. Her intentions are probably in the right place. She probably has good intentions, but it was horribly executed, and it was done with the wrong method, I guess you could say. So yeah, I don't approve of Lacey Green exploiting her popularity to push this biased narrative or agenda, however you want to characterize it. Okay, on to the next question. Anonymous asks, how did you discover MLP? What did you think on your first viewing? And what shows did you enjoy before that? Okay, there's a bit of a story here, and I'm going to tackle the first two parts of this three-part question first, because they kind of tie into one another. I'm a huge fan of thatguywiththeglasses.com. I love the people on that website. And rest in peace, Juwario. He died recently. I don't know the specifics of his death, but he will be missed. But yeah, I watched The Nostalgia Critic. I watched Todd in the Shadows. Doug and Rob Walker are two of my fucking heroes so far as, like, independent internet cinematography goes. And I'm a huge fan, even more so of just the regular videos that they do. I'm a huge fan of the miniseries that they'll occasionally produce. Like, there was Kickassia, what was the second one? Suburban Nights, and To Boldly Flee. And around January of last year, I was watching To Boldly Flee for, like, the fucking third time. And if you watch that closely, there's a part somewhere around the middle where 8-Bit Mickey is wearing a t-shirt with Derpy Hooves on it. And it says Derpy Hooves. And I was sitting here like, what the fuck? Okay, no, first of all, okay, that's obviously a cartoon character. You're not allowed to call a cartoon character fucking Derpy Hooves. You're not allowed, you're not, standards and practices, man, that shit don't fly. So, I kind of let it lie, but eventually my curiosity got the better of me. It just kind of ate away in the back of my mind. I did a Google image search for Derpy Hooves, and I found all kinds of shit. Like, there was this really cute comic about Dr. Hooves going back in time to try and prevent her from getting all cross-eyed and shit. And that was really, really adorable. But, eventually, I discovered that this character was part of the new generation of My Little Pony. And that piqued my interest further. Just, holy fuck. I mean, like, I had grown up with the cultural stigma around My Little Pony. It's stupid, it's vapid, it's girly. Not like G.I. Joe and Transformers. They're good manly shows with well-developed characters and plots. Yeah, my fucking ass. I grown up with the cultural stigma, so I was initially a bit hesitant about getting into MLP. So I did what I do when a piece of media comes out that looks like it might have some part to it that appeals to me. I do research. I went to, hang on, let me get a sip of this, apple pie moonshine. And yeah, I promised that I was going to be getting drunk. And I am. So, like I said, I did research. I looked around at a bunch of different videos that people have made reviewing it. I had never heard of the fandom. Like, I knew in the back of my mind that My Little Pony was a thing that existed. You know, I wasn't into the previous generations, it was always, like, say, something for girls, and just, you know, I wasn't into it. My cousin may have been into it, but when I went over to their house, we would probably be far more likely to watch something like Sailor Moon, because, you know, fuck yeah, Sailor Moon was badass. But I don't know if she was as into it as other people may have been. And I had no idea that Lauren Faust had given the show a reboot. Or that Hasbro had given Lauren Faust license to give the show a reboot. So, I watched all of these reviews. And in the main, the message that kept coming up was, it's a good show, it's got good animation, it's got good voice acting, it's got good music, give it a try. That was their main thing. And around the same time, I had really been getting into the atheist side of YouTube and the science side of things. And I mean, I'd always had a little bit of a science boner, but that was when it really started getting, like, you know, big boner. So I was really, and still am, really into empirically verifying things. So I figured, like, I watched like 12 or 15 of these reviews, and I was like, well, all of these people seem to, yeah, I watched reviews instead of actually watching the show. I couldn't nut up and actually watch My Little Pony. But, I went and, after watching all of these reviews, I went to YouTube, and this is back before the new Content ID system, so, like, all of the episodes up until that point were on YouTube. And, I watched the first episode. And I was pleasantly surprised, honestly. You know, it's still obviously a kid's show. You know, that's unquestionable. It's still a show for kids. The pilot episode, you know, they're not about to do anything super spectacular for that. It's just kind of to get the idea out there. Kind of a proof of concept is how I view the pilot episodes of MLP. Or really the pilot episodes of anything. So, I watched the first episode and I was like, this is actually pretty good. You know, it had a lot of funny jokes. It's cute. I like cute shit. So, you know, the story didn't interest me too terribly. I mean, it was cool, you know, it's set in this fantasy world and everything, but I was still in that mindset of, this is My Little Pony, what the fuck am I doing? But, because I'm a stickler for shit like that, you know, I had to start at the beginning, and they left me on a cliffhanger at the end of the first episode, so it's like, what the fuck? You know, I gotta at least find out what happens with this whole Nightmare Moon situation, because they leave it on a pretty fucking big cliffhanger at the end of the first episode. So then I watched the second episode, and I found out what happened. And then I was like, well, okay, that was pretty good. I mean, the second episode wasn't all that. Everybody knows that now. The second episode isn't as good as the first. But then I was like, okay, you know, they had this arc, and now that arc seems to be over. Where are they going to take it now? You know, it was gradually drawing me in with these little fish hooks. And, I watched the third episode. And then I watched the fourth. And then I watched the fifth. And then the next thing I know, it's like so many others before me, is fucking 3 in the morning. And I've watched the entire first season. And I'm just like, oh my god, this is the fucking best show ever. This is a show for little girls? No, this is a show for everybody. I love this show. This is awesome. And, you know, one thing led to another, and like not even 6 months later, I'm doing fucking YouTube videos on My Little Pony and getting drugged into gigantic fucking Skype groups with people like Digi and Tommy in them. Thank you, Dark Edge. And, it just kind of exploded from there, but yeah, that's basically my story of how I got into My Little Pony and what I thought of the first couple of episodes that I watched. What shows did I enjoy before that? Dude, fucking everything. Like, everything on Cartoon Network's old lineup. Like, Cow and Chicken, Courage the Cowardly Dog, Samurai Jack. Samurai Jack is fucking awesome. Powerpuff Girls is goddamn amazing. I love Powerpuff Girls. Foster's. Foster's is really fucking cool. I like that show. Back when I was a kid, I was really into Pokemon, the animated series. I really, really like Digimon. I'll still watch Digimon. And Pokemon. Fuck it, I ain't got nothing to be ashamed of. Okay, I'll still watch cartoons. Yeah, I'll still watch those. Batman the Animated Series I really liked. That's one of the only things about Batman that I actually did like, apart from the villains. I like Batman's villains, but I'm not going to get into a whole thing about why I dislike Batman. But the animated series fucking rocked. The animated series was awesome. The Amazing Spider-Man, at least I'm pretty sure that was the name of it. It was back around the same time that Batman the Animated Series was out. Oh god. That's a big question, man. Let's see. But getting into science fiction, Firefly, of course. I love Firefly. I'm still pissed off that show got canceled. Fuck Fox for that. Let's see. Babylon 5. Babylon 5 is fucking amazing. That's one of the best sci-fi shows ever, in my opinion. It's right up there with Firefly. I like Stargate SG-1. I do intend to eventually work on my way up to the rest of the Stargate series, but I've only seen Season 1 of SG-1, and I really like it. And I recently got a hold of Season 2 and 3, so I intend on going through those. Always Sunny in Philadelphia. That's another show I like. If we want to get into anime, Hellsing, Gungrave, anything by Studio Ghibli. Especially Princess Mononoke and Howl's Moving Castle. And if you haven't read the book, Howl's Moving Castle, go fucking read that shit, because it is so much better than the movie. I'm not even you think I'm twisting your shit up because, Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli and all that shit? No. Go read the fucking book, Howl's Moving Castle. It will blow you away. It's awesome. Let's see, I mentioned FLCL. Cowboy Bebop, of course, and Trigun, DBZ. Fuck, there's just a lot of TV shows out there that I really, really like. So I can't give like a really comprehensive list. I'm just going off the top of my head right now, but I hope that at least gave you something to kind of go on so far as my taste in television shows goes. I'll watch anything as long as it's got a reasonably good plot and good characters. I enjoy it. That's my big thing. If I don't enjoy it, I'm not gonna watch it. So I'll watch anything that keeps me entertained. Victory Fire 88 asks, "You have a great mind? Doubt it. Troll la 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 la." Okay, this requires a little backstory. Like 2 days before I decided to announce my Q&A for how many subscribers I'd gotten, she had decided to do a Q&A too. And she messaged me on Tumblr and was like, this is suspicious. You're doing a Q&A right after I decided to do one? What might this be? And I was just like, great minds think alike? So, do you have a great mind? Doubt it. Yeah, I doubt it too. I actually think I'm pretty stupid, to be honest. I look at other people out there like, just to go by people on YouTube, I look at people like Wildwood Claire, or The Living Dinosaur, or Essence of Thought, or to get into the Brony fandom, Tommy and Digi and Silver Quill and Dr. Wolf, and especially Cloud Cuckoo Country. Cloud Cuckoo Country is a fucking genius. If you're not subscribed to Cloud Cuckoo Country's channel, what the fuck have you been doing with your YouTube subscriptions? You are missing out. Go watch all of his videos right now. Fuck this Q&A. Go watch Cloud Cuckoo Country. And I look at all of these people, and they seem so much more intelligent than me. I can't even begin to compare myself to them. I don't really think that I have a great mind. I think I actually have a pretty average mind. I like to think that my thought processes follow a logical progression, and I'm able to put 2 and 2 together and make 4, but, you know, I don't think I'm some kind of great, like, genius or something like that. I don't hold my intellect in high esteem. I'm actually pretty self-deprecating because it's a way of keeping myself in check. Because if I just get so wrapped up in, you know, my own intelligence and my own mind, then I become one of those arrogant dickheads that nobody wants to associate with. So I act stupid, I call myself stupid, and most of the time I mean it. But I mean, I'm reasonably intelligent, I like to think. And I'm rambling now, so I'm going to go ahead and end this question. But no, I don't think that I have a great mind. I'm just a dude out here, you know, doing my own thing. And the dude abides. And yes, I had to throw in that Big Lebowski reference. Okay. Sorry, I got Pall Malls in there. They like to go out if you don't keep smoking them. Anonymous asks, you are now king of the world for whatever reason. Would you ban religion and religious practice? Absolutely fucking not. Absolutely not. Hell no. Hell to the fucking no. I'm actually extremely tolerant of religion and religious people. My beef comes in when they try to use their religion to influence government policy or the educational system or things like that. I have no problem with somebody having their own personal religion or an institutional religion, like so many of them are, that they worship and they kind of, you know, do their own thing. That doesn't bother me at all. But when you start getting into, you know, we have to have laws discriminating against homosexuals because our holy book says that they're an abomination, or we have to start teaching not science in science class because our holy book says that's the way it happened, and we don't have any evidence for that, that's where my beef comes in. So I don't hate religion as a concept. I hate religion as an institution that's able to influence government practice. So if I was the king of the world, then I would outlaw religion's ability to influence, you know, things outside of its sphere. Outside of the sphere of human experience that religion specifically deals with. But no, I mean, if you wanna pray to whatever, go for it, man. You're not bothering me. And as long as you don't bother me, we won't have a fucking problem. Okay, Anonymous asks, why is your avatar Proto-Man? Aha! Aha! Oh! Oh, Anonymous got jokes. Ananiwani got jokes. That's funny right there. It's not Proto-Man, you plebeian. It's Zero from the Mega Man X series, which is infinitely superior to the original Mega Mans. No, okay, to seriously answer the question. The actual question, it's not fucking Proto-Man. My avatar is Zero because Mega Man X was one of the first games that I seriously developed an attachment to. Like, I started out with regular Nintendo, and I played, like, Super Mario Brothers, and Duck Hunt, Kung Fu, and Double Dragon, and all that shit. But, on the Super Nintendo, with Mega Man X, that was where I really started to fall in love with, like, the storytelling that games could offer, and the character development that they could offer. And Zero was just the fucking absolute coolest person ever. Oh my god, he was just like, I can't even fucking really put it into words how cool I thought Zero was back when I was a little kid. And that's always stuck with me. You know, Zero was my favorite character out of the Mega Man X series. I loved the games where you actually get to play as Zero. And when I was making my YouTube channel, my YouTube account, really, my personal YouTube account, which didn't happen until January of last year, because before that I just used YouTube as a music player. That was it. I could go on YouTube and look up basically whatever music I wanted. When I was making my YouTube account, I needed an avatar picture. So I was sitting there thinking, you know, what the fuck can I use that's not going to be horrendously overdone, or, you know, what can I use that I kind of identify with? And I had always identified with Zero. You know, I always loved Zero as a character. So I found a cool picture of Zero, and I used that as my avatar. The original one is still the one, I think it's still the one on my Steam account. But I found a different picture later on and changed it over. But yeah, that's basically why I picked Zero. It's just a really cool character. He's an absolute badass, and he don't take no shit from nobody. And he's a motherfucker in a fight, and I like to think I'm a motherfucker in the intellectual arena. So like I say, I like to think that it applies, but once again, not taking myself too seriously. So yeah, that's why my avatar is Zero, and not Proto Man. Proto Man can eat a fucking dick, so far as I'm concerned. Okay. Anime Wolf Gamer asks 3 questions, and I'm just going to take them in sequence. I'm not going to read them all off before I go to answering them. Number 1. Season 4, best and worst episodes in my opinion. Okay, best episode, probably Pinky Pride, honestly. It was a really fun episode to watch. I absolutely loved it. I've been a huge Weird Al fan since I started seriously getting into music. His parodies are fucking genius. He rocks an accordion like nobody else. And I actually really like his polka mashups. Or his polka in general. I mean, Weird Al's polka is just awesome. So having Weird Al, someone who I've had so much respect for so long, get involved in a show that I have come to love dearly is just, like, so many layers of awesome within that cheese sandwich. It is a stupid fucking joke. Anyway, yeah, there's so much awesomeness to me personally in Weird Al getting involved with My Little Pony Friendship is Magic that has to top it out for me. Either that or Flight to the Finish, because Scootaloo, just the feels, and Hearts as Strong as Horses was... What, I can't really pick a best episode though. Like I said, there's too many good ones this season. Like there's Power Ponies, fucking Pinky Pride, Flight to the Finish. God, like, hold on. I'm gonna pull up the list of episodes that have come out in season 4, and I'll probably cut this part out while we wait for iTunes to load. Because yes, I am one of those people who downloads an unprotected copy for use in my videos, but I also go on iTunes and buy the shit. So that's what you all should do too. Go to iTunes or go buy the DVDs or something like that. Support it. It's an awesome show, and if you enjoy it, then you should be supporting it. Okay. Here we go. Yeah, there's just so many good episodes in Season 4. Like, I really, honestly, I like them all. I haven't come across an episode in Season 4 that I haven't enjoyed watching. Not a single fucking one. All the way up to Simple Ways. I haven't watched Simple Ways yet, and I'm really fucking late on that. Like, as of this recording, I haven't watched Simple Ways. Yeah, Flight to the Finish, Daring Don't, I really liked. Power Ponies, Bats, Rarity Takes Manhattan, Pinky Apple Pie. Pinky Apple Pie, I really enjoyed. I really liked that one. Rainbow Falls, Pinky Pride, Three's a Crowd. Yeah, all of these, I really enjoyed all of these episodes. If I had to pick one that doesn't necessarily, like, I wouldn't, like, okay, it doesn't, just because I say that this is the worst episode of Season 4, doesn't make it a bad episode. But if I were forced to pick one that is quote-unquote worst, it would be Castlemania. It was Josh Haber's first time writing for the show. It was very by the numbers, very safe, very Scooby-Doo. And I don't necessarily begrudge them that, but compared with episodes like Flight to the Finish, or Power Ponies, or Rarity Takes Manhattan, or, like, say, Pinky Apple Pie, Pinky Pride, Three's a Crowd, it just doesn't stack up as well, in my opinion. It's still a good episode. I still like it. I still enjoy Castlemania. It's fun to watch, but it just doesn't stack up to the rest of them. Okay, Anime Wolf Gamer question 2. That was the right username. Yeah, Anime Wolf Gamer question 2. Do you think Digi and Tommy are going way over their heads saying that Season 4 is not changing for the better? I'm pretty much thinking that they are babies at this point. Okay. Get another hit of that moonshine. The thing that you have to remember, there's two things that you have to remember. We're all pundits. Digi, Tommy, me, Red Cord, Golden Fox, Biter, A&Y, we're everybody. Persian Poetess, Equestropology, all these people, we are all pundits. We're not supposed to bring objective analysis to the show. We're supposed to be as objective as possible, but we're also coming from unique perspectives, and that's what makes analysis so interesting. Is that there's all of these different people with all of these different ideas that basically come together to discuss all of this. And I would prefer that YouTube not get rid of the response videos, because a lot of the videos that go around in the Bronalysis community could be done as response videos to one another, because they address different issues. Red Cord will talk about something that Golden Fox didn't talk about, that A&Y didn't talk about, and so on and so forth. So Digi and Tommy are just pundits. They're intelligent pundits, and they have a firm grasp of what they're talking about, but they're still pundits. And the other thing that you have to keep in mind is that a review can never be objective. It can only be honest. So, if Digi and Tommy don't like the way that the season is changing, quote unquote, and I'm not going to deny that there have been some changes. There definitely have been. But, I personally think it's going for the better. I hope that the situation will improve as more episodes come out. Not that it can get all that much better in my opinion, but hey, DHX has surprised me before. I don't necessarily think that they're going over their head. I think that they're just stating their opinion. They're being honest. And they've caught some fairly severe backlash from the rabid fans in the past for voicing opinions that don't necessarily agree with the consensus. So I don't think they're necessarily going in over their heads. Like I say, I just think that they're voicing their opinion, which they're more than welcome to. It is just an opinion. With something like media, with like novels and television shows and music and things like that, it's highly subjective. So one person will like, I love Equestria Girls. Tommy Oliver doesn't. He hates the movie. And he has some very good reasons for hating the movie. I like it because, like I said, it entertains me. It's fun to watch. I think it's a good movie. He thinks it's a horrible movie. His complaints are just as valid as my reasons for liking the movie. So I don't think they're being babies or anything like that. I think they just see a show that they're extremely invested in going a direction that they did not anticipate. And that's one thing that you have to remember about Digi and Tommy, is that they make the vast majority of their living doing these YouTube videos. And they're trying to expand and do like anime and other things like that, you know, technology reviews and stuff. But the vast majority of their income through their Patreon accounts and, you know, YouTube revenue and stuff like that comes from the ponies. So they have a distinct investment in this show. So you can't really get on them for being disappointed in the way that the show is trending. I personally might not agree with them, you personally might not agree with them, but everyone is entitled to their own opinion. You know, the old saying, everybody's got an asshole and they all stink. That kind of applies here. So, you know, take what everybody in the Bronalysis community says with a grain of salt, and form your own opinions based on the information that they give you, and your own personal, you know, evaluation of the episode in question. Or the subject in question, if we're getting into, like, headcanons and shit like that. So I hope that answered your question. I know that's kind of rambly. Like I said, I've been drinking. I recorded a whole nother video, and I had like 4 beers while I was recording that. So I apologize if I'm a little sloshed and I'm being incoherent. But you know, that's basically my take on it. Is it's just their opinion, man. You don't have to take them seriously if you don't want to. You know, Tommy and Digi are big names in the community, but they're not the fucking end-all, be-all. So far as enjoying media goes, you are the end-all, be-all. You know, so make your own decisions, form your own opinions. You can inform your opinions by listening to these other people, but you don't have to take what they say as gospel, man. Okay, Anime Wolf Gamer question 3. Does your cutie mark say, I hate religion, or hate speech of any kind? Basically, does my cutie mark promote religious hate speech? No, it does not. The origin of the symbol is, there's a punk band out there called Bad Religion. And I've been listening to these guys since, like, I was a junior in high school. So, going on 10, 11 years now, I've been listening to Bad Religion. And I went through a dark time in high school that I'm not necessarily going to get into here. It's not exactly relevant. But suffice it to say that bands like Bad Religion basically saved my life. They helped me deal with a crisis of faith that I was going through, and they helped me move on. So, well, they also helped me realize how ridiculous religion is. And once again, this is all my opinion, my analysis. You don't have to take this as gospel. You know, I view religion as silly. I view it as ridiculous. I don't think humans need an imaginary friend to help them get through the day. You know, I get through the day just fine without that. But there are, of course, some people out there who need that religious practice, and I'm not going to shit on them for that. You know, that's their fucking business. If they want to worship a god and all of that, that's perfectly fine with me. I'm actually one of my majors in college. I'm double majoring in religion and sociology. One of my majors in college is religious studies. So I'm fascinated by religion. I love religion. I just, like, Hinduism is so insanely fucking complex, and the art and music that comes out of religion is just fucking amazing. Like, I still listen to Christian rock bands, like the Newsboys and Travail, and those are two very different sides of the spectrum of Christian rock. One is like fucking heavy metal, just heavy shit. They don't curse in their album, but they're fucking heavy, boy. And the Newsboys are really like pop, kind of pop punkish influenced Christian rock. But no, I don't promote hate speech. If you watch, I've got a DVD of a recent concert that Bad Religion put on, which recent being like, you know, 5 or 8 years ago. And they did that whole The Last Waltz thing, where they'll play a song and then they'll show like short snippets of interviews with the band members. And one of the snippets that they talked about, or that they went off with for a while, was the origin of the crossbuster symbol. And basically it was something stupid that one of them came up with, and they were like, yeah, that'll offend a whole lot of people, so, you know, we're gonna go with that. But now, I mean, Greg Graffin, I want to say Greg Graffin is the dude's last name, the lead singer. He's actually a college professor, and he does, like, lectures, and he teaches classes and shit. I forget what his specific degree is in. But, his explanation of it was, it's not meant to be any kind of hateful or putting down anybody's religion. It just means that he used the example of Christianity. I extend it to all religion. Basically, religion is not practiced here. And I actually have the crossbuster tattooed on my left arm. I have 2 tattoos. I have the crossbuster on my left arm, and I have the Misfits Fiend skull on my right. Because those are 2 very important bands to me. Their music helped me through a very dark time in my life. And that's kind of why I chose the that for my cutie mark. I was thinking about having this this whole backstory for my character, but I don't even have a name for him. Or, like, you know, Brony Curious's OC, Tommy Oliver, his OC is called Tall Tales, and he comes from, you know, some fucking town, and he's a bard and shit like that. I don't have that. I was working on some conceptual ideas back when I was first creating my OC. It was like, you know, he came from beyond the Everfree Forest to destroy the kind of religious thing that's grown up around Celestia and Luna and prove that they're not gods and shit like that. But that was really fucking, like, childish and myopic, and I got rid of it. I scrapped that. So basically my OC is just me as a pony. And that's why I went with the crossbuster thing. Because my professional career, so far as what I want to do with my schooling goes, is going to be based around exposing the bad shit that happens around religion. Because in religious studies nowadays, it's become kind of taboo to talk about the bad shit that religion does. Like, cult has become a dirty word in the academic study of religion. And no one really wants to look at religion and go, religion and religious people are capable of some fucked up shit. And I personally think that they need to be called out on that. You know, there's plenty of people out there who are extolling the good that religion does, the charities, and, you know, I forget what the whole thing, where they build homes for people, that whole thing. There are plenty of people out there extolling the virtues of that, but there's very few people looking at religion and going, you need to answer for this shit. So that's kind of what I intend to do with my degree, or at least that's one of the things that I intend to do with it. But yeah, no, I'm not promoting hate speech of any kind. If anything, I'm promoting an objective analysis of the subject, and the cutie mark just means that I do not practice any religion at all. I'm not hating on anybody for having a religion, or hating on any specific religion simply for existing. Alright, on with the questionnaire. I hope that answered your questions, man. Like I say, I'm a little sloshed. That was kind of the point to this whole thing. But, yeah, I hope that answered your question adequately. Okay. Luna Corva asks, 3 questions. Number 1, why a unicorn? Well, I have always been a fan of magic users in, like, D&D settings and stuff like that. Like, back when I had quote-unquote dedicated groups, like, we could ever actually finish a fucking campaign. I would always play a sorcerer or a wizard or something like that. You know, just someone who had some kind of magical thing going on. So the study of magic is very appealing to me. Also, unicorns are the more... they're kind of stereotyped as the more erudite race of ponies. So that also really appeals to me because I've got a huge knowledge boner. I love learning. And, you know, just, like, wandering around the Canterlot library would be a fucking dream come true for me. So, you know, that predilection for learning and the fascination with magic is basically why I became a unicorn. I would love to have a truly original OC like, say, Silverquill, but, you know, I didn't fully explore the fantasy world that they had. I didn't know that was even kind of possible. It never entered my head, so I just basically went with pony, unicorn, boom, and then mage was kind enough to draw me some poses, and that's basically how Jim Fear Pony came to be. What does your cutie mark mean? I just basically answered that, and I'm not gonna go ahead and fucking ramble on about that question. Refer to the last 10 to 15 minutes, or however the fucking long I went off on that. And lastly, if you were on the MLP writing staff and they asked you to come up with an episode involving Alicorn Twilight, what would you write? You know, I've had like a fucking week or more to think about this question, and I have no idea. Like, okay, that's not entirely true. I've got a little bit of an idea. Like, I'm really big into court intrigue, that kind of thing. The book series that really sparked my interest in court intrigue is the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb, H-O-B-B. And it starts with The Assassin's Apprentice. I highly recommend that you guys look it up. It's an awesome series of books. It deals heavily with court intrigue and backbiting and politics and all of that stuff, and there's a whole lot of other shit that goes into that, but like, it's one of the best fantasy series out there, period, full stop. So if I had to write an episode or a two-parter or something like that involving Alicorn Twilight, it would probably be something centered around her coming into her responsibilities as a member of the royal family and dealing with all of the court intrigue and politics that goes down in Camelot that she wasn't privy to before. So her discovering all of that and kind of dealing with it, I think that would be I think that would be a really interesting story to see told. So that's probably what I would go with. Mark of Hessarian asks, this might be long, so I'll try to keep it as short as possible. During the course of Season 3 and through Season 4 thus far, I've heard a strange complaint. I don't like the new direction, and I finally feel like I'm watching a kids' show. That last part is something I don't understand. To me, it's always been a kids' show, and there's nothing wrong with that. Apparently, if the illusion that it somehow isn't is shattered, it's somehow lesser as a result. I personally don't think the show has changed drastically, but to me, Season 1 was the most strikingly kids' show portion of the series. I mean, I can just see the Hasbro exec delegating the format. We need an episode about religion/beliefs, feeling Pinky Keen, an episode about tolerance, Brattle Gossip, a pseudo-history episode for educational purposes, Over a Barrel, and if anything is stock kids material, it's Season 1. It was the pilot season, so it makes sense. The complaint is usually, we want slice of life episodes. That's how it was in the good old days of Season 1. Like I said, there is still plenty of slice of life, but why were they slice of life? Partly due to Hasbro slapping down Lauren's more ambitious adventure plans, but partly due to the characters being established. Character development happened in Season 1, so is it safe to say that that's what people really want when they pine for the good old days? Once characters develop, they can still change, but they shouldn't be going through the exact same scenarios as before. When people claim to like Season 1, I think it's because they like character growth. But eventually character growth happens and the characters start to do things. If there is any change, that's what we're seeing. Do you think people with this opinion simply don't want to see things happen? Do you think they are afraid of the change that comes with it? Sorry for such a long question. Dude, don't worry about the length of the question. I mean, yeah, you basically wrote like an entire fucking paragraph, but it's not a big deal, man. I don't mind answering these long, involved questions. That's perfectly fucking acceptable. I think with people, I'm gonna deal with this like in the 4 sections that you gave it to me. Yeah, I agree with you. It's always been a kid's show. That's one thing that the Brony community really needs to, as a whole, step back and fucking realize, is that this is a show intended for children. It's meant to be entertaining for, you know, adult audiences too, so that if somebody's babysitting a kid or the parents have to watch it with them, then they won't want to fucking shoot themselves. But it's always been a kid's show, primarily. So we kind of have to realize that as a community, and it's not lesser as a result of being a kid's show. And yeah, that illusion should be shattered. It should be shattered. It's definitely a kid's show. It's a damn good kid's show. But it's still a kid's show. That doesn't make it, you know, somehow lesser of a form of entertainment. You know, it's still a damn good show that was put together very well. It's got good animation, good songs, good writing, good voice acting, just good, like, just about everything about this show is good. So it's not necessarily a lesser form of entertainment than other TV shows out there. I mean, I love My Little Pony just as much as I love Firefly or Babylon 5 or, you know, shows like that. it is a kid's show, and we do need to keep that in mind, but that doesn't mean that we can't enjoy it on a higher level, because the people who make it add that higher level to it. And that's something that the analysis community, I think, brings to the fore. That sort of deeper level, that deeper potential that the show has. I don't think that the show has changed drastically either, but I do agree that Season 1 was really kind of the most kids show portion of the series. Yeah, I can agree with that. So far as Feeling Pinky Keen goes, that was actually a fuck-up. They didn't intend to get into the false debate between, religion and science. That was an unexpected consequence of the way they framed that episode. And Cloud Cuckoo, actually, all of the episodes that you bring up, Cloud Cuckoo Country gets into, and he made a post about it on his Tumblr blog, and got into it in a video that he did with somebody else. I can't remember who he collabed with on that video, but he got into this, and he makes a very good point about the framing, the way they handle the framing devices that they use for these things isn't up to par. It's not very good. It's been a while since I've read it or seen it. I'd have to go and watch it again to make sure that I'm not misrepresenting his point. But I basically agree with what he was talking about with that. Personally, I like Feeling Pinky Keen, despite the quote-unquote religious versus science undertones that it has. That's something that has to be read into it. And if you want to read that into it, that's your business. I personally don't, but I can see how people would come to that conclusion. With Bridal Gossip, I think that was a pretty good episode, so far as kids go, with the simplistic understanding of race relations and ethnicity and things like that. I think that it was a pretty good way to handle it. Bridal Gossip is one of my favorite episodes. I really like it. Over a Barrel, just, no, fuck, no, Over a Barrel, I'm not a fan of Over a Barrel. I can sit there and watch it, and I can enjoy it, just based simply on what it is, but the overwhelming stupidity that takes place within that episode really does grind my gears. But yeah, if anything was stock kids show material, it was Season 1. It was the pilot series, it was the pilot season, so they had to develop all of these characters and kind of put all of these lessons in, and of course there's going to be stock lessons that just appear in every fucking kids show that they necessarily have to get across. The complaint with the Slice of Life episodes, yeah, Hasbro did slap down Lauren's more ambitious adventure arcs that she wanted to do, but that doesn't necessarily make the Slice of Life episodes invalid or somehow lesser. I mean, a lot of people like Biter and certain others, they watch the show for that Slice of Life. They don't care about the adventure arcs. They don't like the adventure arcs. And I mean, everybody comes to this with a unique perspective. We all come to this show for different reasons, or maybe there's a lot of overlap there. But we all have our personal reasons for liking the show. I think that people they enjoyed the character development that happened in the good old days of Season 1. And they do want to see more of that happen. But one of the problems, and you kind of touch on this in part 4 of your ask here. Once the character's developed, it can still change, but they shouldn't be going through the exact same scenarios as before. When people claim to like Season 1, it's because they like character growth, but eventually growth happens and characters start to do things. If there's any change, that's what we're seeing. Yes, yes, right there. That is basically it. You can establish these characters, and then in Season 1 and Season 2, we're getting to know these characters. We don't have any established backstory for them or anything that we can really identify with or latch onto as this is what defines this character. So, with the old Season 1, we were getting to know them. And they were developing at the same time, so our perception of them was, we're getting to know them, and they're changing while we're getting to know them. So it was this really interesting kind of narrative dynamic that was going on. But what most people don't realize is that it's impossible with a show that only has like 22-minute per episode runtimes. You're not going to be able to get into the nitty-gritty and dissect the intricacies of these characters in that short of a time frame. So, yeah, eventually the characters grow and do things, and I think that people are simply scared of change. They're seeing these characters grow in ways that they did not anticipate, that doesn't necessarily gel with their preconceived notions of how these characters should act. And the thing that's important to remember with that is that the show sets the canon, not the fandom. So if they decide to show Pinky acting a certain way that's not her usually bubbly, exuberant self, then that's not necessarily Pinky acting out of character. That's another facet to her character that we were not previously privy to. So I think these people are scared of change. They don't like it when things don't gel with what they think should happen. And they're basically being whiny crybabies if they're complaining about that kind of thing. I mean, going back to Digi and Tommy, everybody has their own opinions about things, but in my opinion, those people who are complaining about like character breaking and we're not getting as much character development as we did in Season 1, well, now it's time for like you said, now it's time for them to start to do shit. It's time for arcs to happen and character growth to progress, and if it doesn't progress in the way that you want, fucking cry me a river. Go whine about it on your fucking blog. Or whatever. It's not up to you to decide how these characters grow, and in my opinion, you should be accepting of the path of their growth, even if it doesn't conform to your expectations, however rigid or not they may be. So I hope that answered your question. That was a big one. It was really dense. There was a lot there. I'm sorry if I rambled for too long. I think that's basically the idea there. So, I hope that answered it. I'm sorry if it didn't, and I'm just gonna get on with the Q&A here. All right. Gibbon Tumble asks, oh, hey Gibbon! Hey Give and Take! Thank you for asking the question. What does Jim fear most in the world? Slick play on words there. Let me get this hit of moonshine and I'll tell you. There's several things. There's nothing that I necessarily fear most that I just like, oh my god, this thing, I can't fucking deal with it above all other things I'm afraid of. Darkness. I don't like darkness. Like that kind of pitch black darkness where through memory your way through a room, but it's fucking dark, so your mind creates shit that isn't there just to freak you out. That bothers me, so I'll go and try and turn on a light as soon as I fucking can, just to be able to get my bearings, so that if something happens to be in the dark, I would be better able to defend myself, because I could see what it's doing. But yeah, I don't like darkness because I listen to so many creepypastas and I watch so many horror movies that my mind just conjures the most horrific shit that's just waiting in the dark to fuck with me. Especially with creepypastas like the one, I think Lixian did, Lixian, did an animation of Mr. Creepypasta, and it was the one where the guy's freaking out because it's dark, so he turns on the light, and then the monster grabs his shoulder and is like, you know, thanks for turning the light on, I never would have been able to find you otherwise. It's just like, fuck, well, every fucking safe haven that I have now is destroyed. Now I just have to basically be ready, which is why I sleep with a gun. Water. And that's not like, you know, I like glasses of water and shit like that. I'm not that much of a hydrophobe. Deep water, water that I can't see the bottom of, shit like that. I really fucking hate that. I don't go in ponds. I don't go in lakes. You will not get me out on the ocean for any fucking thing. Last time I went out on the ocean was back when my mom was still alive, and we somehow we had got like a Caribbean cruise or something like that, so we went out on this big fucking cruise ship, and there was like free pizza and all of that, and they had a House of the Dead game set up in the arcade, and me and my brother blew like I don't even know how much money on that. But yeah, you can't get me out on fucking deep water nowadays. Now that I'm old enough to make my own decisions about shit, ain't fucking happening. Another thing that bothers me is heights. Heights are really fucking disturbing to me, just because the thought of what would happen if I fell. I hate roller coasters for that same reason. You can't get me on a roller coaster for fucking anything. And I mean that literally anything. And this is gonna sound like horribly sexist or something just terrible of me. But like Mila Kunis could be standing right next to me saying shit like, you know, I'm down to fuck. All you gotta do is get on this roller coaster. And I'm just gonna look at her and be like, bitch, you need to find another dick. Cause that shit ain't happening. And that really got cemented when I was very young. Probably like 10, 12, something like that. We'd gone to Universal Studios, and they've got this roller coaster at Universal called the Hulk Coaster, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a theme roller coaster that's centered around the Hulk, and they've got like, you know, movies playing the whole lineup and everything like that, and it's, you know, all Marvel, and I love Marvel, so it should have been really cool, but it's a roller coaster, so it's not. And the whole time up, like, my dad is like, no, we're going on the roller coaster, you're getting on, that's the end of the story. So I'm whinging and crying and all this shit the whole line up there, and we must have waited in line for like 45 minutes. But we finally get in, and I get in first. So there's this path where you go through, and you can sit down, and they'll put the harness down over you and make sure that you're okay. I tried to dive out the other side of the roller coaster. Just like, no, fuck this, I'm gonna go out the other side, I'll wait here till y'all get off, y'all come pick me up, whenever. But because my parents are fucking paranoid about predators and shit like that, no, I had to ride the fucking roller coaster. You gotta ride the fucking roller coaster! So I take my hat off and I sit on it, And, because, you know, I don't want to lose the shit while we're fucking flying at an unreasonable speed over the park. And the way the whole coaster is structured is it's set at like this 45-degree angle. And it might not have been 45 degrees, I'm just going off of memory here. So, you know, the steep incline. And it looks like a normal roller coaster. Like, it's got the, you know, the chain in the middle at the bottom going all the way up to the first drop off. You know, that whole cha-chunk, 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 shoom thing that happens with every normal roller coaster in the fucking universe. And it's this big green tube encapsulating that whole, like, first rise, that first hill that the roller coaster goes up, and then you expect it to, you know, climb slowly and then shoot down. And there's these green lights going up it, and it's like, this is the gamma radiation blaster and shit like that. You know, that stupid gimmicky shit that they do to make the roller coaster more exciting when it's just really a fucking roller coaster. And I'm sitting there, I'm like about to start crying because I hate roller coasters. I don't want to do this. I'm being forced to. I did not consent to this. Patriarchy forced me to get on that roller coaster. But no, seriously. A countdown started, and it started from 10. You know, 10, 9, 10, 8, 10, 9, 8, 7, 9, yeah, all that shit. And when it hit 1, you know, you expect the roller coaster to just do the whole ka-chunk, ka-chunk, ka-chunk thing. But it went boom! And shot out of this fucking tube like it had been fired out of a goddamn cannon. It was ridiculous. It was like 0 to whatever the fuck speed this roller coaster goes in 0.5 seconds. And I'm like, got my eyes shut tight. I've like tears streaming out my face. I can barely open my eyes. I still get war flashbacks of just like the park flashing by as I'm going at this super high speed. And eventually it ends. And we get off the roller coaster. And my brother and my dad are all like happy fucking enjoying themselves because they love roller coasters and shit like that. That is all fun to them. But I'm walking down. I've got like tears streaming down my face. I'm pissed off. And my dad comes up and puts his hand on my shoulder. And this was the only time I have ever swung on my dad. He puts his hand on my shoulder and he says, "That wasn't that bad, was it?" And I turned around and just like threw my right arm up as hard as I could. Just aiming directly at his face. And I must have come within like 6 inches of like connecting with his chin. And I don't think it would have done too much damage. You know, I'm just like 10 years old or however the fuck old I was at the time. So it wouldn't have done much damage. But he dodged out of the way and he laughed and he kind of let me alone because I guess he could tell I was upset. And you know, after that, everything was fine. I calmed down. We went around the rest of the park. You know, it was all fun and games from then on. But that just cemented in my mind. That was like a traumatizing experience for me. I will never get on another roller coaster again just because the speed, the height, the not being in control of myself thing, it doesn't gel with me. I fucking hate heights. So that's like darkness, deep water that I can't see the bottom of, heights, I can't really think of anything else. Other than that, it's just my own psyche. My mind will create fantastical things to just freak me the fuck out. And it works. It works with fucking devastating effect. But, apart from that, there's no real big things that I'm scared of, like zombies or or shit like that. I've seen enough horror movies where I know how to handle myself in this situation. So, but yeah, so far as uncontrollable things, those are my 3 big ones. And I'm sorry about going off on tangent there. I hope the anecdote was at least enjoyable. Okay, let's get on with the questions here. Anonymous asks, can I sit on your head? Do you think I is cute? Do you have a crush on any other brony? Can I bite your tail as if I don't all the time anyway? Hi, Ellie! You're not fooling me or anybody else with that shit. Going under anonymous like I wouldn't recognize. This was your plan all along, wasn't it? Can you sit on my head? Sure. I don't fucking see why not. As long as I can breathe. I'm an easygoing guy. I don't mind. Sure, why the fuck not? Do I think you is cute? Yeah, of fucking course. Especially when you get angry, because you just go into these paroxysms of rage, and it's so fucking adorable to hear over the calls and everything like that. I mean, I feel bad because, it's usually because of connection problems or mic problems or whatever on your end, but you're just so fucking adorable when you're mad. Do I have a crush on any other brony? Not really. Not really. I mean, I have a little bit of an infatuation with Cloud Cuckoo Country because he's just unfucking reasonably handsome. You're not allowed to be that fucking perfect of a person. You're not allowed to be brilliant and good looking and polite and just a nice person, and you're supposed to pick like 2 and go with it. You're supposed to be like good looking and smart and a dick or something like that. There's supposed to be a reason to dislike you, but there's no reason to dislike Cloud Cuckoo Country. So I've got a little bit of an infatuation with Cloud Cuckoo Country. But he lives in Australia, I live in America. I really don't expect that to go anywhere. Though that's not to say that if I ever visit Australia, I wouldn't ask him out for dinner or something like that. But he's like fucking, what, like 20? 19? Something like that? He's a little young for me. Apart from him, do I have a crush on any other brony? Not really, no. I don't really develop, like, crushes and infatuations with people. I mean, I develop crushes, but not on anyone in the community, and this is a really fucking awkward question, and you knew that when you asked it. I'm legitimately trying to think of another answer, though, because you asked, so I feel I should give you a straight answer. Not particularly. I mean, there are a lot of people in the community that I consider friends. Like you, Ellie, Danny, Sky, Dell, Equestropology, sorry. Sweet Apple Analysis, Looney, Red Cord, Golden Fox, a male alicorn, biter. I mean, I consider all these people to be friends, but I don't really have, like, a crush on any of them. Cloud Cuckoo Country just, like, swept me off my feet, because all of his videos are insanely fucking intelligent, and he presents himself in such a well-spoken way, and his voice could melt fucking concrete. And then I finally see a picture of the dude, and he's like John Barrowman levels of handsome. And like I say, it's just, you're not fucking allowed to be that attractive on so many levels. But apart from that, not really. I don't really have any crushes on any other bronies in the community. Another hit of that moonshine. That's how you know I'm being honest. And speaking of which, since we're just on this and I'm totally fucking embarrassing myself anyway, you didn't answer my question, Nick, when you did your Q&A. I still want to know what your ideal date is. And I need to know this, because reasons and science and stuff like that. Okay, back to the questions. Can I bite your tail as if I don't all the time anyway? Yeah, go ahead. Sure, why the fuck not? If you want to get hair all up in your mouth, that's fine. It's mostly hair anyway. That doesn't bother me at all. I'm a pretty easygoing drunk. Alright, Clifford Beats. Hi, Cliff! Asks, what is your favorite thing about MLP, and what is your favorite thing in general, excluding family and stuff like that? Excuse me. My favorite thing about MLP, and I'm kind of drawing from the answer I gave this back when I first recorded this that got fucking deleted, probably the air of innocence that it has. It's just really refreshing to be able to go into this show and have that sense of childlike wonderment and not expecting, great or controversial things out of it. Just going in, and I know that this is just going to be a show about candy-colored ponies living and doing shit in their world, and there's not going to be any, like, sexually explicit jokes or inherently fucked up content or any shit like that. Like, if I want the fucked up shit, I can go watch porn. Or I can go listen to some creepypastas. If I want to get, like, the sexual deviance or the horror sides of my nature fulfilled. But with MLP, it just has this innocence to it that really appeals to me. How do I put this into words? It harkens back to a time before I grew up. Before I realized how fucked up of a place the world is. Before I realized how... I hate to keep using the same descriptor here, but before I realized how fucked up people can be. It harkens back to that, like I say, childlike innocence. And for that 22 minutes while I'm watching this show, I can get back to that childlike perspective and just sit there and smile and laugh at these by and large, for the vast majority of them, innocent jokes, and have a fun time that isn't based around my incredibly dark sense of humor. You know, it's cute, it's sweet, it's childlike, it's innocent. That's what really appeals to me about MLP. That's why I keep watching. That's why I call myself a brony, is that it has this air of innocence to it that you don't find in a lot of media nowadays that doesn't talk down to its audience. Like Dora the Explorer has that air of childlike innocence to it, but it talks down to its audience so bad that nobody with a functioning cerebral cortex would actually want to watch it. You know, that shit is for babies and lobotomy patients. MLP actually has intelligent plot lines and good writing and great music, and it's all just so innocent that it's kind of like a beacon of what could be. A beacon of what was. It brings me back to a time when I was younger, when the world hadn't completely fucking ruined me. And I think it's good to get back to that place occasionally. I mean, it's not good to live there, but getting back there every once in a while isn't necessarily a bad thing, and that's part of what this show does for me. So that's probably my favorite thing about MLP, is just the innocence and the harkening back to younger, less unspoiled. The harkening back to younger, unspoiled days before reality came and just fucked everything to hell. What's my favorite thing in general? Knowledge. I've got a gigantic knowledge boner. I love learning things, man. Learning things is awesome. It is right up there with sex. It's fucking, and in some cases it's greater than. I really love to learn things. And that's one of the reasons that I love Tumblr so much. And I know what you're thinking. Tumblr is the fucking hug box of the internet. It is the source of more misinformation than any other site except, like, maybe 4chan. But if you follow the right people on Tumblr, you can learn a startling amount of shit. Like Permutation of Ninjas. If you're not following Permutation of Ninjas, you are missing the fuck out. Because those people run an incredibly well-maintained blog. They always source their arguments. They have very intelligent people behind that blog. Just, yeah, Permutation of Ninjas. If you're not following them, then you're doing Tumblr wrong. Also, people like Anti-Feminism Pro Equality. She always, well, unless it can just be like a knockdown argument, she always sources her shit. Hell No Rad Femmes. Mr. Cappadocia, though he's more prone to hyperbole than just about anybody else I've listed, he usually tries to source his stuff too, so, you know, but go to Mr. Cappadocia with a grain of salt. Under the Goddess, you can learn a lot depending on who you follow and what they source. Also, that's one of the reasons that I love college so much, is that, you know, every 3 or 4 months, I get a new chance to learn some completely new shit that I was not privy to beforehand. And I always keep my books. I don't sell them back. I don't rent books. I love having these around that I can just crack them open and read them anytime I want. So knowledge is probably my favorite thing in general. And in my opinion, it's the only thing that will ensure humanity's survival past the lifespan of this Earth. So I've got a huge knowledge boner. That's my favorite thing in general. Cam goes, Pony, hey Cam, asks, what's my favorite SCP, as in SCP Foundation? I know you're into creepypastas, and I think you mentioned at one point that you like the SCP Foundation stuff. Yes, I absolutely love the SCP Foundation. It is one of the absolute coolest things on the internet, period. Just fuck yes, SCP Foundation. So far as a favorite, I would have to say something along the lines of 682. And I know that's like a stock answer, but I really do find that SCP fascinating. The hard to destroy reptile is the one I'm talking about here, because it's intelligent. So far as we know, it's immortal. They've tried to destroy it many times, and nothing has fucking worked. It's just, like, it fascinates me. The symphony that is written in blood, and when people lock eyes with it, they have to try to finish it, so they'll, like, slit their own wrists and write notes in blood, and then when they try to actually play it on musical instruments, it's this horrific cacophony. It makes no sense. It's not even good music. It's just, that's pretty fucking badass in my opinion. There's a fucking 1.5 million SCPs. I can't go through all of the ones that I've seen just off the top of my head, but if I had to pick one out, it would be the hard to destroy reptile. That's just too badass. Okay, Anonymous asks, how do you get your username, JimFear138? Does 138 mean anything? Yeah, actually it does. This is another story. I have, my brother and I, we have this friend, and we like to game together. We're all big gamers. And occasionally we'll go over to his house and we'll play video games. Well, I was trying to transfer my Xbox Live profile over to his Xbox one night, and something went wrong. I still don't fucking know what, but my old username became defunct. I had to basically make a new profile from scratch, and I was sitting there thinking, well, what the fuck can I do for a username? You know, what am I gonna pick? You know? And before the story goes on any further, I'd like to give a shout out to Digibrony. Back when he was in the Bronalysis Skype group, he was the only one to ever guess the origin of my username. He's the only one who got it, So big ups to Digironi for actually fucking getting it ally identified, you know, that, like when you're walking down the street and you see another person wearing a Slayer t-shirt and you just lock eyes with them and nod and you both fucking get it. That's basically what happened. But going back to the Xbox Live thing, I had to reformulate my entire fucking profile. So, I was trying to think of what can I use for a username. And I had been listening to a lot of the Dillinger Escape Plan. And if you decide to look that up based off of this Q&A, be warned, they are a math metal group and they are not for everybody. So I'm just giving you fair warning. But I'm a huge fan of theirs. I actually went and saw them live a while ago. They have a song on, I want to say, Calculating Infinity. It might be one of their other albums, but I'm pretty sure it was Calculating Infinity, called Jim Fear. In Calculating Infinity, a lot of their older fans say that's their best album, and I'm inclined to agree. I mean, I like Miss Machine and Ironworks and stuff like that, but Calculating Infinity was that was their first real full studio album. It was goddamn incredible. And I was sitting there thinking, you know, okay, well, I've been listening to Dillinger Escape Plan. You know, they got this song called Jim Fear. That sounds like a name, and it's also pretty badass, so I'll use that as a username. And the 138 comes from my other favorite band, and these guys top out everybody for me. They beat out Aerosmith, they beat out Metallica, they beat out Rush, they beat out the Wu-Tang Clan. The Misfits are my favorite band of all time. Period. The end. And one of their songs is called We Are 138. And I'm not even going to try and hazard a guess as to what that means within the context of the song, but it's a fun anthem song. It's really catchy, and it draws you in. And the 138 is just something to kind of tack on to the end, in my view. What I use it for is it's something fun to tack on to the end of the username that other Misfits fans will get, but nobody else will. So it's kind of like this inside flag that I'm throwing up, and if you get the reference, then I'm probably more inclined to associate with you or to like you, or you know, things like that, because we have this band in common. But of course, you know, it's going to have to develop from there, and we'll see how things go. But yeah, that's where the username came from. That's what the 138 means. It's not anything particularly special or esoteric. It's just something that I came up with one drunk night while I was pissed off at Microsoft for having to remake my entire fucking Xbox Live account. So okay, Mark of Hessarian, and I would really love to, I got a question for you. Where does that username come from? I would love to know. That's a cool username. I have no idea what it means. And we're getting to the end here, so there's 2 from Mark of Hessarian, and then 3 from Mage. Okay, so, not quite sure if you're a gamer or would identify as such. I am, and I do. But I'm curious as to what you think about the current state of game criticism, not necessarily games journalism. Some people think games are a poor medium for storytelling and look down upon them. Do you think the current state of critiquing stories should apply to a genre as diverse and constantly mutating as games? Short answer, yes. Long answer, yes. But But, just to add in a qualifier there, it has to be taken on a case-by-case basis. There are a lot of different dimensions to gaming. There's console gaming, there's PC gaming, there's mobile gaming, and then there's handheld consoles like the DS and the PS3, or not the PS3, but fuck it, the PS Vita. That was what I was thinking of. And a lot of different games come out for that, for those different consoles. So you kind of have to take the game on its own merits and then critique that. You can't just look at games as a whole and be like, we're going to apply, we're going to apply storytelling critiquing to the whole fucking shit. Because there's some games out there, like the ones developed by PopCap, that, like Peggle. I love Peggle. Peggle is a fun game. I bought that on Xbox Live Arcade just because it's something stupid fun that I can get really fucking shit-faced wasted and still play. There's no real storyline to it. It's just a, like, kind of puzzle solver thing. But when it comes to something like BioShock Infinite, or Mass Effect, or the Silent Hill games, or, insert game with an actual storyline here, yeah, we should absolutely be applying critique to those, because they're a certain media that's trying to tell a story, and we should be evaluating it, and deciding amongst ourselves as to whether or not it tells that story adequately. So, yeah, I think that critiquing stories should be applied to games. So far as games journalism goes, quote-unquote journalism, what you have to realize about most of the people who work for The Escapist, and Rock, Paper, Shotgun, and Kotaku, especially Kotaku, these people do not have journalism degrees. They're basically pundits. They're not journalists. When you're looking for an opinion on a game, the best thing to do is to find someone who has similar tastes to you, who has a set-up platform for critiquing. So if you and Jim Sterling agree on a lot of shit, and occasionally he does game reviews, I think, or if you and Yahtzee agree on a lot of shit, or if you and Angry Joe, or Mundane Nat, or who the fuck ever, agree on taste in games in general, then you should go to them first, because if their gaming tastes align with yours, most of the time, they're going to be a reliable place to get opinions from. So you'll know whether or not you want to buy this game. But take what they say with a grain of salt, because they're always coming from a position of bias. A review can never be objective, it can only be honest, so once again, they're only giving you their biased opinions. And don't look to sites like Kotaku or Rock, Paper, Shotgun as gospel. They're really fucking not. And honestly, I agree with Mundane Nat. He put out a recent video about how games journalism is dying, and I agree. And I also agree that that's a good thing, because the current generation of games journalists that we have, we have people like Jim Sterling and Adam Sessler who say that it's okay to fucking dox people. I'm not lying. Look this shit up. It's okay to dox people, they said, if they leave, like, quote-unquote misogynistic comments on Anita Sarkeesian's videos. It's okay to dox these people and release their information to the general public, where some fucking crazy motherfucker could get a hold of it and come busting in their house with a fucking shotgun and murder them. Yeah, fuck those two. Or Yahtzee is insanely negative on just about every review he does. you can't take any one person's opinion on things as gospel, but if you find a set of people who mostly agree with you about video games, then go to them first and find out whether or not you want to buy the game. But we should definitely be evaluating games on the same level that we evaluate other media, because games are just as valid as movies and novels and all of that. It's just a more interactive way of telling stories, and those stories should be evaluated based on their merits. And as many different positions as can be brought in should be brought in. So, yeah, sorry, I'm, like, reaching the end of my fucking rope here, and, I hope that answered your question. I'm really sorry if it didn't. Okay, and, Mark Vissarian's final question: how do you feel about determinism and how it's used in society? Okay, first off, I'm not exactly certain how determinism is used in society. That's really, really vague. So I can't really speak to that, so I'm going to have to kind of drop that question, because I don't understand where you're coming from with that. But I feel that the way it works out, in my experience, from what I understand, is that the big debate is between determinism and free will. And my position on the matter is a middle-of-the-road thing. Yes, events that happen to us within our lives are informed by past decisions that we, and even people that we have never met, made. Yes, I agree. But I still have enough free will to decide whether or not I want to smoke this cigarette right now, or whether or not I want to have another sip of this apple ale that I've been drinking all night. And I do, so I'm going to. Or whether I want to have Cheerios or cornflakes for breakfast in the morning. You know, there's a certain amount, in my opinion, of free will and determinism that goes into every decision. And I really see it as one of the most pointless philosophical debates in the history of pointless philosophical debates. Because if there's free will, good, awesome, fucking great. What are you gonna do now? Because it's up to you. So start charting your own course, motherfucker. Become the captain of your own ship. If that's free will, if that's how it works, then you best start getting proactive about your shit, because you're the one who decides how you end up in this life. If it's deterministic and we have no say and everything is determined by past shit that's gone on, what are you going to do about it? There's no sense having this argument when neither side is provable and each is just as falsifiable as the other. So I see it as a very useless debate. I see no point in debating free will versus determinism. I think determinism on its own is stupid and myopic. And this is probably going to get me in trouble with Digi, but, you know, fuck it, I don't care. But yeah, that's basically how I feel about determinism. And I'm sorry I can't speak to how it's used in society. I don't really understand where you're going with that. I mean, if you want to ask that question again and, you know, be a little bit more clear, define your parameters a little bit more, that'll be fine. But right now, I can't really speak to that. Okay, and now we get to Lethal Aurora Mage. Her questions, and these are the last questions in the Q&A. So we got 3 questions, and then it'll be it. Okay, if I were a pony in Equestria, what would my profession be? Fuck. I have no idea. Like I said, I had, plans for my OC to be this pony who came in and destroyed the cult of personality that had developed around Luna and Celestia and all this shit, but I kind of abandoned that. So, my OC, who's basically me, would probably be a frustrated rider living in Ponyville or Manhattan or something like that, who's just a complete and total fucking alcoholic, doing odd jobs around the town in order to pay the bills. That's the closest that I can come to an actual profession. Okay. Next question. If I had unlimited money, what would be the first 3 things I would do with it? Okay, number 1, I would pay off my fucking debt. I've got a lot of debt to hospitals because I've got a, I've got a medical condition that has incapacitated me more than once, and I owe a lot of money to various hospitals. So I would pay them. Next, also, go along with the debt. Just debt in general. I would pay off my fucking student loans. Just get that shit out of the fucking way. Number 2, I would probably buy some land and a house on it so that I would never have to worry about having a place to stay. I would just, like, have this home that I could always go to. And not ever have to worry about being homeless. And if my friends were ever in need of a place to stay, then, you know, I could give them safe haven for however long they needed it. Number 3, I would start donating to charity a lot. Like, a lot. Just do stupid shit, too. Like, I would donate so much money to fucking prostate cancer research and breast cancer research. And just try to get those diseases cured, like AIDS research. All of this, just charity, getting people's houses, getting people houses in underprivileged areas, you know, curing poverty in certain countries and lack of food and things like that. I would just donate a shitload of money to charity. Like, that's been one of the things, is that if I've got enough to live comfortably off of, and not really have to worry about anything, as long as me and mine's is taken care of, I would start helping out humanity in general. That'd be a big goal of mine if I had unlimited money. Okay, number 3. Do you have any kawaii kohais? Okay, this is probably going to take a little bit of explanation. Kawaii is Japanese for cute. Basically, that's what it means. Kohai is the counterpart to senpai. So the senpai is the older person, the more experienced, you know, upperclassman kind of thing. And kohai is the underclassman, the junior in high school or what the fuck ever, you know, the person who is, fuck, dropped my cigarette. The person who is not subservient to, but doesn't have as much experience as the senpai. or is younger than the senpai, or something akin to that. It's one of those tricky Japanese phrases that doesn't exactly translate, but that's the best approximation I can give, because like I say, I am on my 6th Red's Apple Ale, and I have been downing Midnight Moon Moonshine for the entirety of tonight, since like fucking 7 o'clock. I've been drinking, and it is currently 11:21. So yeah, I'm pretty fucking sloshed at this point. Do I have any kawaii kohais? Well, that's the thing, is that, like, with the whole internet thing, you're forced to elaborate somebody on the strength of their arguments and how they present themselves, as opposed to their age, which I think is a good thing, because there are some, I've had conversations with 14-year-olds that are incredibly intelligent, and they make very good points. And I wouldn't have known that they were 14 had they not told me. So I don't presume to put myself above anybody else unless it's like an age ranking, because that's kind of objective, and I can't really get around the fact that I'm older than most people in this community. But Mage considers me to be one of her senpais, so I guess Mage. Other than that, maybe Blind Skywatcher. And you know what? Just to piss him off, Texarax. Texarax is so kawaii. Texarax wa totemo kawaii desu. Yeah, that's about it. So, thank you everybody who sent in questions. I really appreciate you guys giving me all of this great material to work with. I'm sorry that this went on for so fucking long, but I got some really good questions that I had to expound upon. Sorry that I went on so many tangents and told so many stories, but I thought that they were relevant at the time. I just... Thank you guys for sending in questions. If you didn't send in questions, dude, I'm just some dick on the internet with a YouTube channel and a Tumblr blog. I am nobody special. Feel free to ask me whatever. You don't have to be shy about coming up to me just because I've got a fucking YouTube channel. It's not that big of a deal. So next time I do one of these Q&As, I expect more questions. Oh fuck, I'm gonna have to save this document so that I can compare questions next time so that I don't get any repeats. God damn it. Yeah, that's basically it. That has been the Jim Fear 138 200 subscriber, absolutely way too fucking late special. I thank everybody for asking questions. Thank you for listening to this, especially if you made it this fucking far, because God only knows how fucking long this thing has gone on. But, you know, thanks for asking, thanks for listening, and, I will catch you guys in the next video. So, peace out, all my peoples out there. Y'all take it easy. And remember, don't drink and drive.